Hey everybody, I'm Live's Nick Baumgardner here alongside Matt Wenzel and Kyle Austin. First day of Big Ten Media Days here in Chicago, guys. You had Mark Dantonio and you had a couple players. I know that, Kyle, I guess we'll start with you. The topic du jour has to be their offseason, and you've been involved in all this stuff. I would assume that that was a big topic of conversation today for the Spartans, whether they liked it or not.
It was, because they sat down and they had a lot of these discussions locally soon afterwards. But this is really the first time Mark Dantonio has been out there in front of the national media, having national reporters question him about this. So it's kind of been raised anew. I'm not sure we covered any new ground today, but it's certainly an uncomfortable topic for Michigan State that's coming up again. We just sat down with Mark Dantonio for about an hour, and one national writer in particular sat there and asked him 4 or 5 questions about it. I mean, got a little snippy at times. I think Mark Dantonio feels like he's got a long track record. He's got 10 years, mostly of success, mostly devoid of off-field issues, and he got a little frustrated at times that people want to ask him so much about this. But at the end of the day, college football is about what have you done for me lately. And right now, Michigan State, what they've done lately for them is 3-9 in an offseason filled with allegations and investigations and things like that. So it's going to be somewhat of a focus. I think they are starting to move forward. Players are talking about moving forward, but it certainly kind of cropped up anew again today.
And Matt, football-wise, what were some of the, obviously, forget all the off-season, off-the-field stuff. That's just like Kyle said, this is still a 3-9 team. What are some of the questions that are being addressed now of how do you stop this bad momentum, turn it around, and start going the other way?
Well, I think Mark Dantonio, he said he was hired to solve problems. This is clearly a problem.
Sure,
3-9 is a problem.
I would say so.
1-8 in the Big Ten is a problem. And then now you talk about what to address. There are huge gaps where there's just either uncertainty or I don't know if you'd say lack of talent or lack of depth, but I think you go back, you look at their running back stable, and that's all coming back. Quarterback, it looks like Lewerke's the guy. You get him, but you really get outside of that. I don't even really know where you start because there's so many questions. Defensive line. They were just no pass rush last year. Their secondary was hit hard by attrition. So yeah, there are more questions than answers right now at this point for them as far as on the field depth.
How are the players handling this? They can only handle so much of it, I suppose. But.
Well, the 3 guys Michigan State brought out today, which are Brian Allen, Chris Fry, and Gerald Holmes. We talked to last month when they were made available. After Michigan State went through the. When there were charges announced, when the investigation with the 3 players, they brought out guys like a couple days later, and so they've already addressed this. And it's the same thing they're saying today. It's we're moving on. It's in the past. Leadership changes, and it's a lot of the same stuff. Where they're just talking about putting that behind them and focusing on what Michigan State has been known for, trying to get the program back to where it was, which was pretty damn good.
Last hurdle, do you feel like this was the last maybe off-season hurdle for them, and now they can actually maybe focus on football for a minute here?
For a minute, if September goes poorly, it's going to seem a lot like this. So, they obviously have a respite here with camp where they'll turn inward, but, you get 3 non-conference games. I think they're set up pretty well with Bowling Green and Western to start. Western could give them a little bit of a scare, I think, but I think you can start at 2-0. Then you got Notre Dame. Who knows how that goes? We all thought that was a great game last year, and then who knows how that goes? And then you're in the Big Ten play, and they only won 1 game last year out of 9. So if they're starting out shaky again, you've got a head coach who kept his entire staff. Made that kind of curious decision. I think that comes back, and I think you're starting to ask some big picture questions then. So I think this will all tie in and crop up again. So yes, they have a respite now. I think you go from late July now. You get time to kind of regroup and focus on the season. But the fast start came up today. I think it's more important for them now than ever to show some improvement early on and not let things spiral like they did last year.
Well, that'll do it from us for today. Michigan State is done. Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, and a couple of his players will be up tomorrow. We'll be here to cover that as well. So for Matt and Kyle, I'm Nick. We'll talk to you later.